On July 7th, 2022, around 7 p.m., I was at my high school playing basketball, and I was doing pickup runs, and in between I was doing some dunks. So I was attempting some dunks, and I threw one off the backboard, and when I jumped up to go catch it, I grabbed it, slammed it, and landed. When I landed on my left leg only, and there was a ball on the ground because other people were shooting around, right? My left leg landed directly on the ball, and that's when I tore my ACL. My leg bent completely sideways. I felt it instantly, and I knew that it was a bad injury. After my injury occurred, I was taken to the ER where I waited for a couple of hours just to be told by a nurse that my knee was sprained. I was sent home with crutches, and for the next couple of weeks, I tried my hardest to get back into shape, assuming that my knee was sprained and that it would recover naturally. After a couple weeks of trying to get back and pushing through pain and assuming that my knee would go back to normal naturally, I scheduled physio, and my physiotherapist told me that he had suspicion that I had torn my ACL. After the suspicion, he booked me with a sports specialist who took a couple weeks to get an appointment with. After I received the appointment, I met up with him, and through about 60 seconds of meeting him and him checking out my knee, he told me I had a torn ACL for sure and sent me for a CT scan. So my scans came back, and sure enough, I had torn my ACL. Now that it was confirmed, it was about scheduling with a surgeon when I would have my reconstructive surgery. This ends up taking place near the end of October, and the date will be on the screen. I woke up to a call a day before my surgery when I was told that there was an opening and I wasn't going to get another chance for surgery for a couple months or even longer. Needless to say, I took the surgery that was within 24 hours of receiving a call, so I wasn't very mentally prepared for the surgery. However, it was coming regardless of if I wanted it to or not. On the day of the surgery, I woke up and I hadn't eaten because they told me not to eat the day of, and once I was driven to the hospital, I waited in a waiting room for a couple of hours, and they then took all my belongings and I changed into a surgical robe. I was then put on a bed, and they put IVs in my arms, they put needles into my legs, I was given pills so that everything would be numb and I would go to sleep and relax. And I was wheeled into a second room where multiple surgeons were standing with bright lights, and they started to restrain me on a more extensive surgical bed. And once that had taken place, that's about all I can remember because they told me I'd be sleepy, and then the next thing I knew, I was waking up from surgery. When I woke up from my surgery, I was very groggy and disoriented, as to be expected, because I was under a lot of drugs to keep me under from the surgery. My surgeon came in and told me good news right away, and shortly after, my mom showed up and picked me up from the surgery. I was sitting across the back seat, and I was taken home in a lot of pain, and for the next whole month, I was not able to bend my leg at all. It had to be completely straight, and I could not put any weight on it. So for the first month, it was very difficult not being able to put any weight on my leg. I pretty much had to hop around on my right leg or be sitting or have help anywhere I went. I was in the house most of the time, and it was a lot of pain and discomfort. There was stitches all over my leg. It was hard to keep clean with showering and, getting up and down stairs. My house has a lot of stairs, so overall it was a very difficult first month, and the months preceding really didn't get much easier. I had a lot of physio ahead of me, and it was a lot of hard work to be done still. After the first month was up, I went to see my surgeon, and I had recurring meetings with him where I would continuously go in over the months to do checkups, basically. And the first checkpoint was after the first month, I could put weight on my leg. I was cleared, and I was very happy about that because I could not take sitting around anymore. So after the first month, I started doing physio, and from there, it was just months and months of going back to my physio place and working on straightening it and bending it and putting weight on it and just adding the muscle back that had been lost from the atrophy of my surgery. After my months of physio had, taken their course and my physiotherapist said that he might not need to see me anymore, I was seen by my surgeon, who told me after I think 7 months that I was clear to start going back to sport. Now this was just light play, shooting around, dribbling the ball, starting to work on running again. But this was a huge, huge success for me, and it was the best feeling in the world to know that I was cleared and that my knee was healthy enough to start playing the sport that I love again. After my 7-month clearing with my surgeon, this is when I knew it was time to really get to work. The real work had just begun. I had to get reps in and relearn everything that I had not been doing for the past over half a year of not being able to play basketball. I had to learn my shooting mechanics, jumping mechanics of course, but even just the small things like being able to run normally and feel comfortable doing certain actions. For the months after my 7-month checkup where I was cleared to play basketball again, I was outside playing basketball as much as possible, and I worked on all of my fundamentals again, and I got up shot after shot. I started jumping again, I worked on my dunking techniques, and I just started trying to really pack on the muscle that I had lost and gain that strength and power that I once had back. This 9 to 12 month range that I've been in currently has really showed me how much I've progressed more and been better than I ever was before my injury, now that I'm doing the right things and taking my craft seriously, really taking my health to a next level. And I think that this injury has definitely changed me for the better. I would never do it again. It was one of the hardest things I've done in my life. But now, I'm back. I'm gonna add this clip in at the end of the video just as a quick thank you and shout out to all the people who have helped me through this, because it has been a long, hard journey, and I don't think I could have done it without my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, who helped me through my injury at home, and just after the surgery, like I was incapable of doing most things for myself, and without them I would not have been able to make it through my recovery. On top of that, all my family and friends that wished me well through the process, as well as my physiotherapist who did a great job assessing the injury, better than the ER did, as well as my surgeon himself, and any of the surgeons that took place, of course. And hopefully I didn't miss anyone, but glad to say I'm back. This has been The Comeback.